Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Good Morning Soul. And I'm a little bit excited to talk about the short film I just watched. This one is probably my second favorite out of all the ones I've seen so far. By the way, this is the first movie in the 2016 lineup, so the movies that were nominated from the year 2016. So I'm excited to be making the progress this fast. It's so much more rewarding than like with all the Oscars where it takes me like a year to do this. But yeah. The movie that I'm talking about today is Timecode, and this is a Spanish movie. I'm not sure country. It's a Spanish film. That's all you gotta know. And it takes place in a office where I forget the name of the job, where you watch security footage all day, and that's like what you do. And the woman who is the main character, she one day notices she gets a call saying that some guy broke his tail light in the place that she works at, because it's like a parking garage that she's monitoring all night. And she gets that call, and then she kind of, because the only other person that works there is this like random ass dude, and they have very brief conversations. It's just like, hey, how are you? How was it last night? Oh, it was good. See you tomorrow. Okay, see you tomorrow. That's how it is. And just by the way they move, you can tell they've done this time and time again. Time and time again. And then she decides to watch the footage to see how the guy broke his taillight. And she sees her coworker, for whatever reason, he's just dancing through the parking lot. And you can tell he can actually like dance by the way he's moving. Like, he is a dancer. And he's moving through the parking lot, and he accidentally hit this guy's car, and he's like, fuck. So the next day, the girl, she leaves a note for him, because she goes back, and she goes back to the scene of the crime, and basically we see, because they can like put in the time code for like certain cameras, so like she just leaves a time code on a post-it note, a sticky note. And so he replays the time that she left on this note. She didn't mention anything about it. She didn't give him shit for dancing and like breaking this guy's car. And then for whatever reason, she in the footage just kind of mimics the guy's dancing. And so we literally get this cycle of days and days where they're just leaving each other notes. And they're just leaving each other notes and notes and notes. And you really start to be like, oh, look at this little relationship going on here. It's so cute. And then after all of that, the guy comes in, or the girl comes in, sorry. And you noticed, like, oh, he didn't leave a post-it note today. And then she looks around, and she finds another one. And it's very ambiguous as to what was on this note. We just know, like, the screen goes black, and she looks like kind of sad after reading it. So I assume that the guy quit or had to get a new job or whatever. And then the next scene is a new replacement guy, and we hear like their boss or whatever just saying how he got rid of the past two, meaning the girl and the guy both don't work there anymore. And then he's showing the guy things. The guy, like, I'll get into what I wanted to say at this point a little bit later, but he goes into how to work it, and he's like, oh, just put in time code such and such for whenever you need. And then he looks into the time code, and he sees the old coworkers, and they just start dancing together. They have basically through this weird time code, this bullshit thing, he taught her how to dance. And not only that, at some point they had all these amazing like dancing sequences, and it just goes into like this beautiful montage of all these different security footage, and each of them just dancing, and actually like really well. And it's really, really beautiful. And then the guy leans over to his new boss, and he's like, but I can't dance. Am I like, how? He's like, is that a job requirement? And that's how the whole thing ends. It's actually funny and very subtle. And I've noticed as a film goer that like one of the huge advantages of film over like books is body language. Body language says more than actual like words. If you read a comic, a good comic or manga or whatever else, a good comic, like their body language and how they move will tell a story, and you don't even need to follow the words to get like a proper story. You can just look panel by panel, and obviously the words are another huge factor, but like a good comic won't need that. But anyway, so basically what I love about this film is people who work mundane jobs, not even mundane jobs, just day-to-day jobs, really fall into a rhythm. Like when she comes into work, like as she's like buttoning up her clothes and as she's clocking in, her movements clearly show that she's done this times. Like it's everyday for her. And one thing films I feel more often miss, and that's something you can't get in books, by the way. That's like a huge advantage. Like, but a lot of films, it like they're supposed to be at their day-to-day jobs, and you can see that if they're a good actor, like they're comfortable where they are, but sometimes they're just kind of like unfamiliar with things. They'll like turn to their computer at a speed that like most people working at an office won't turn to their computer. And this film, like, perfectly acted. I perfectly bought the fact that they had been here working 100 times, 1,000 times. And it had a great subtle reference because later on when the new guy starts his job, he's like buttoning up his shirt and he's fumbling a little bit, like he doesn't know where all the buttons go. Like, that was such a great way to like express that. And not only that, like, I've noticed as a critic, I'm much more of a wordsy guy. When it comes to expression, the biggest forms of expression are words and body language / all the things that come with that. So even like wrestling, pro wrestling, theater art, medieval fucking times, all of that. That's all like human expression. And the last film I gave a 7 out of 10 on this list was 11 O'Clock, which was a very wordsy film. Not saying that they weren't doing anything physically with their bodies, but words like were like the main part of that movie. Whereas this movie, there is very little dialogue. Literally, these two barely talk to each other. And yet, like, I feel like I appreciate it so much more for that. It had like a kind of like love for dance in there. It was two people who work mundane nothingness. Like, they don't really need to be here, in all honesty. They don't, but it's a job. It is what it is. But these people who created something beautiful out of nothing, just with their bodies. I think that is such a cool, amazing like thing. And I've been like lost in thought about this film ever since I saw it all of like 30 minutes ago. But as a person who like enjoys art, like I feel like with pro wrestling there's so much to tell just with your bodies. And I feel like every day in life, we're communicating. And obviously communication, like I wouldn't just say day-to-day communication with whoever is art, but it is super important to us, how we come across and how we make ourselves known to others. And film is able to capture that in such a beautiful way that it becomes like immortalized. Your basic everyday movements are immortalized. And with dance, that is so much deeper. And with something like this, it's like third layer deep. Anyway, I really like this movie, if you couldn't tell. I was just going to give it a 6 out of 10, but since I've been unable to stop thinking about it, I've thought more about this 15-minute movie than I did what was the last movie I watched? I watched Divergent. I've thought more about this movie than fucking Divergent. Divergent I gave a 6 out of 10. Fuck Divergent compared to this movie. But anyway, those are my thoughts on Timecode. It was a really interesting movie that you should watch. And that's basically it. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll I'll see you guys tomorrow with another episode, and with that, I leave you.